Can you hear me now?
Yes, just barely.
All right, bear with us. We are in.
How about that?
I've got my volume turned down. That'll help.
How are we doing? Can you hear us now?
Yeah.
Microphone's figured out?
I think so.
I think so.
When they glow, they work.
I know. Do you want to give us a quick rundown? Y'all bear with us. Jared's going to give us a tutorial here.
I'm trying to get there, but I'm having car trouble. I've had car trouble.
No worries. You're good. You're good.
Red light on means that you're live.
There we go. I forgot that makes noise.
All right, guys. Hello. Good to see y'all. I can see there are 3 of you online.
That's correct.
Okay. And we are going to call
Actually, I think there are 4 of us.
I don't know. I'm here.
Okay.
It's me, Josh, Janet, and Canton.
Okay. Hey, Janet. Thanks for joining us, too. Okay.
And I am trying to get there.
You're fine. You take your time. We are here.
Doors open.
And we'll continue to do so. Are we at 4:30 on the nose right now? Well, check us out. Look at that. We're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. April 7th. Some people online and in-house. So in terms of voting today, because we will be voting on some funding and making some other decisions. So we do have a quorum, correct? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, and then Josh. So we are good. Okay. And then if we can just kind of move through this portion as quickly, unless you have questions, but the approval for the minutes is emailed from last month's meeting. Anyone have questions?
Nope.
Comments? Okay.
I
Motion
move.
that we approve them.
Motion and
Second.
second. Moving on through. Excellent. Thank you so much.
All in favor?
All right. Hey, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
go.
All right. I said we feel so formal today. Here we go. All right. So let's go through some financials really quickly. We have some good news. Our numbers look great. They actually, our funds were appropriated through City Council a couple of weeks ago. So right now we have $12,381 in the bank. Of course, we do know that $4,000 still captured for the chamber beautification project. We did have $5,200 appropriated. I know Kelly had been asking about the Master Gardener's payments. Just that's a confirmation that did come in, and the Conway Court money. Thank you guys so much for that. So we have that money in. There's one more encumbrance for the month. That's $83.16. That's for these 2 lovely signs in front. I don't know if you guys can see that, but we did actually get our yard signs in. So part of what we want to do is communicate with the public that we have actually been doing some tree plantings and there are some efforts. And so one of that is just to simply go and put a sign out and say, this is where we've been. This is what these sticks are coming out of the ground. They're actually trees that are going to grow. So yay. So we do have those.
That's
and
great.
then, so really cool. Thank you, Claire, for facilitating that. So $82.97 is what we have actually available to spend in our account right now. So unless Krista correct me or Natalie if I've missed anything else. Good to go? Okay, awesome. All right. So we did have a few things occur since the last meeting, so I thought I could just kind of throw it to some of you guys and let's do a quick wrap up of some of our old business. So Natalie or Krista, somebody want to speak to some of our events, the Free Tree Fridays, and I've got them all listed if y'all just want to give us some quick hindsighting on that.
Yeah, so the Free Tree Friday went really, really well. We can't remember what date it was.
The 18th.
It was March 18th, and we gave away 600 bare root trees with the help of the Arkansas Agriculture Department Urban and Community Forestry Program. And just an amazing turnout. The trees were gone in less than 2 hours. And so we already have people asking us when we're going to do it again. And just a reminder that those, and I think we should plan on doing it again, but just a reminder that those bare root trees are only available in early spring. So if we're going to be doing bare root tree giveaway, it'll be next spring before we can do it again.
And it was, 600 trees, 2 hours, and the response was huge. So kudos, thank you, Krista. That was a huge initiative to get more trees out for the start of the year. And the one thing I would say is, yes, let's go ahead and look to next year and see if we can go ahead and acquire more and get that out earlier. For fall, is there any option to get some trees if we wanted to do a tree giveaway later in the year? Would that be a possibility or no?
To give trees away in the fall?
Yeah, like let's say for Arbor Day, if we wanted to do another giveaway, would that be a possibility or no?
We'd have to look into potted trees, which we do have some wholesale nurseries in the state where we could get a very good deal on potted trees, but we would probably have to purchase those.
Okay, great. Okay, we'll table the rest of that for later then. Awesome. All right, fantastic job. And the other thing, maybe marketing, we could do in a couple of weeks, maybe some feedback, because I've heard from a couple of my peers who got trees, are like, yay, we got our trees in the ground, yay. So we could do a show us your trees, and that'll let us know really who engaged after the fact, and give us some more information on that too. So,
Spread awareness for next time.
yeah, keep the message going. So, okay. And that doesn't have to be urgent. That might be something for summer that would be fun to, early summer, and just keep the topic there. Awesome. Anyone else? Great job. Thank you, Krista. All right, Mcgee tree planting. You want to talk about that, Krista?
I can, yeah. I don't know that I got a real good number on the number of people we had there, but of course, our original planting date got snowed out, and so we had to use our rain date, which I guess we should call our snow date, which actually fell on Arkansas Arbor Day, so that was kind of fun. So we did that on March 21st. We planted 200 small potted trees at the Mcgee Center. I'm going to say we had about 15 people planting. Is that?
Yeah, doing the math, it was between 15 and 20. Hard working. We got it done in 3
Yeah, if you look at the
hours, and
pictures,
that
it's about-
mud was so heavy. It was like 20-pound clunks of dirt coming out of the ground. So yeah.
Yeah, but they look good as of right now. I was out there, I think, last week, and everything, they got rained in really well right after we planted them. So settled their roots and everything. So we do, of course, and we'll be talking a little bit later about another work day at Mcgee Center to mulch those trees and possibly put trunk guards on them also. But I think it's a really good project, and I'm excited to get those yard signs out there so people know what's going on, because the trees will be a little bit more noticeable once they start leafing out too.
Yes, and the guards and the mulch. And we did, even while we were planting, had a big response. People stopping and walking, engaging, coming over. So they're definitely interested. So it's a good day. Awesome. All right. Another event that we had was the Science Wednesday at King's, and that's where you get the panelists of experts and different perspectives. So Natalie, you want to share a little bit about that with us?
Science Wednesday was last Wednesday. I can't remember the date. Was it the 30th?
The 30th.
It went really well. We had
Teenager
20 participants in Kings.
Yeah, you almost have to speak.
Okay,
into it.
thank you.
Can you hear
So,
us?
Yes, all good.
okay, so we had 20 participants at Kings. March 30th was the date of the event. And we had about, from what I saw, 45 people on Zoom. There was a huge response. We had several people asking questions during the event, and I think so many questions that we didn't even get through them all. But it was a really good event. Krista was one of our panelists. James Walden,
We had Maureen Skinner.
Maureen
psychiatrist.
Skinner, and
then also we had Will Flatley. He's
Will
the
Flatley, yes.
bioecology from UCA.
yeah. But I think the event went really well. Science Wednesday, the group wants to consider partnering with us again, and so we may look for another date, I guess, in the fall. They do 8 a year, so that might be something that we look into too.
Yeah, and it was good. And it's just a soft perspective to do community engagement, reach a little bit of a different demographic. And so interesting questions. And just off of that too, I think we can utilize those questions again for community engagement and education, because if they're asking, then other people will. So that may be something during the summer when we're not planting to continue to get information out too. So,
Yeah,
but
definitely.
good event. And then, yeah. So great job. And I have to give kudos to the marketing crew. So I'm just going to say Claire, Josh, and Natalie, you guys, and Krista come in a pinch and like really promote things. So that's how we were able to get the volunteers out quickly for those makeup days. No pressure for this Saturday, hint, hint. But anyway, thank y'all so much. It's fun. It's creative. Even April Fool's Day. I don't know if y'all saw it, but you got me. I read the post
Those
very
were
quickly.
great. I don't know who posted those, but those were
I was
brilliant.
like, I just glanced. I was like, we don't recommend planting non-natives. And then I read it again. Spaghetti also does not grow on trees. So there we go. Yeah.
Props
That
to
was a good
Natalie
one.
for
Thank you.
all of that.
Yeah. So fun along the way. That's good. All right. And so I know Josh is still en route and you're traveling, so we can table, or if you want to speak, he actually attended a little bit of a development course. It's kind of marketing for Tree City USA and how to engage the public. And so Josh, you want to hold off? Are you okay to speak?
I'm okay to speak for a minute. I don't have my notes with me, but I remember the big takeaways.
Yeah.
I mean, most of it was the regular marketing stuff: post regularly, try to engage your people by asking questions. That was the big one: was ask questions to invite feedback. Like plant something, show something about a planting technique and say, have you ever tried this? What was the result? Or, have you ever planted a tree before? How did that work out? Would you be interested in learning more about that? That was a big thing, was try to ask questions to engage our followers. One of the other ones was try to make everything, like make sure our events are actually Facebook events, so that we can share them, and that's it gets more engagement somehow. I don't know, they explained that. The third one was actually talking about branching out into other social media. So we're good on Facebook right now. We're getting into Instagram, and they've said focus on what you have right now, and then add another one at a time as you get familiar with that next social media platform, which is sort of what we're doing now.
Right.
The only other thing I'd say is they said to tag Arbor Tree Foundation in every post that we can, and they will share a lot of that.
Mm-hmm. And then we'll gain their followers. So if you'll know, like Tree City USA, arborday.org, and that'll be something. So this is really the beginning to, I think, of a greater marketing plan for us in terms of we're working on the urban forestry management plan. So what is important to our constituents, right? To our community. What do we need to know? Where do we need to focus? So we can use some of these strategies. So I see a greater marketing plan coming from this. And a better understanding. People want to plant trees all year, but we just can't do that. So what do we do in those in-between times? And that's where we can really get out, educate, and engage and do things like that. So I appreciate you attending that. I think we'll have at our next meeting start getting a good scope of marketing work for the remainder of the year, so we can get prepared and share and get our handles and our hashtags and get everything very cohesive so we can grow.
So just a quick little update. Facebook, I think we have like 735 followers now, which we had like 630 like a month and a half or 2 months ago.
Great.
So we've
Okay.
increased that by 100, which is pretty good in a month.
Yeah.
And then Instagram, we had about 60 and we're over 100 now. So
Perfect.
we need to keep the momentum going and try and get some more followers. But
Thank you so much. Yeah, that's great. Okay, we'll get there. All right. Okay, so we did hit on Urban Forestry Management Committee meeting, and thank you guys for your patience this month. There's been a lot of in and out with our travels and then sickness, and so we had an early meeting this month with GIS, and I owe you guys really some more information, and we should have had one more committee meeting with the forestry group. So we'll just commit to meet back in the next week or two. But Canton, I don't know, are you prepared to share a little bit about that meeting, or did he have to drop off? He may
I
not.
think he dropped off.
Krista, you want to share some info? We don't have a ton to share, but some.
Well, we met with Matt Anderson, the city's GIS specialist, and it was just kind of an idea gathering meeting. You know, what could the city help us with? And Matt had some great ideas for kind of like public interfaces, you know, where we could, you know, map, you know, trees that we've planted or significant trees, and, you know, get, you know, the public can interact with that and maybe even help us do some mapping. I thought it was a real positive meeting. We need to have probably Canton, who is on our board and is skilled with GIS. We need probably Canton and Matt to have a meeting, just the two of them, and put their heads together. And then Canton had suggested that, because one of the things we were looking at is, could the city do some canopy analysis for us using GIS? And it sounds like that may not be the best way to use the city's GIS specialist, but we are exploring the idea of partnering with UCA, some students there who might be able to help with that, which I think would be really nice, because then you're engaging some different people and you know, getting them interested in urban trees also. So I think that's good. As far as the committee that's working on the urban forest management plan, I think our next steps really are deciding what exactly we want to include in the plan. And so kind of you know, establishing a scope of work and our priorities for the plan, which is hard because there are a lot of options out there. And so we need to kind of, we have come to the conclusion, I think, that something fairly concise would be best for at least this first go around. So we need to decide, you know, what is really important to include in it for this first step.
Yes. And so identifying what those key priorities are, back to kind of engagement, education, what is a priority. Kyle, do you have anything to add for the GIS meeting?
No, I think that pretty much covered it. Yeah, I think we definitely are wanting to do everything that we can to help you all. So I know when the committee meets again, we'll probably have a better idea of what our next steps are. So yeah, we're definitely looking forward to working with the committee on that. And I know Matt is definitely excited with some of the maps he made. I know he showed the one that was kind of the time progression where you could see how the forest cover had changed over time. So
Yes.
yeah.
And these are things that are already, is this already available on the website? Or I know there are
I
certain
believe
maps
he
that are.
published it. I can check and see, but
Yeah,
I'm
'cause
pretty
that'd be
sure
great.
he did.
And I know, and just for all the board members, it's all in our Google Drive. So I continually just dump all of that information so you all have access to that. But again, it's just a great base level for us to say, we don't know where we can go until we know where we've been, right? Or where we are. And so that's really the key, is to get the data, know where is the biggest priority, the most workable solutions for the community and the city, so we can all move more forward together. And so this is just the beginning, but stay tuned. It's kind of like herding cats, getting this started and getting it off the ground, but progress being made. So, but I did include that, and just so you guys know, it looks like our coverage from the tree canopy in 2011 was 27.76%, but you'll see I shared this report or Krista and Matt did, just about overall coverage, and then also the land use underneath, right? So we kind of need to know, is it over pavement, concrete, industrial, agricultural, what's hands off, where can we work with the city to get trees where we can or preserve them. So good info on here. And then the other piece, and I'm just sharing for you guys online, I did share the scope of work piece that you sent to me, Krista, so they can kind of see some of the bullet points of things that we can offer. And even though you're not on that committee, if you have any thoughts, just shoot them our way, obviously, between meetings, so we can make sure that we share or consider anything that you guys have for us too. Okay, any questions about that right now? Okay, I'm gonna move right on through. Thank you, ma'am. And thank you, Matt. I don't know if he ever watches this. Can I just say, he responded back so quickly, and we just haven't had a chance to get back by the month, but we need thank you to him and for being so fast on that. So appreciate that. Okay. All right. And our urban forestry committee meetings usually happen on Thursdays. I know Canton is not here, but I would like to look at in the next, just for y'all to consider throughout the rest of the meeting very quickly. Let me look at this. So maybe the 14th, I don't know, or maybe a Tuesday, either the 12th or the 14th, if that would work for any of us.
Are we trying to decide that now?
No, I just wanted to throw it out there for now. Y'all think and just kind of respond, but I'll send an email out. But I try to commit to dates before we leave here, at least for consideration. So 12th or 14th.
Just the 14th is better for me.
Okay, I was gonna say Thursdays seem to be better. I don't know, Scott, if that would work for you or not, but March 14th maybe. Okay. All right. April, oh my gosh, April 14th? Yes, thank you for that. Okay. All right. Welcome, Josh. Finally made it. Hey, you were there the whole time. All right. So new business. This is where we'll slow down just a little bit. And you guys, we are jam-packed today. We're at 4:51, but we have several events that are coming very, very quickly. So we've got the April 9th mulching project, mulching and trunk guards. We've got Conway Ecofest on the 23rd. And then we have the Tree ID Walk on May 3rd. And then I want to be able to at least glance and look at summer and fall and make a decision on how active we want to be, or if we want to pause and make a really large Arbor Day event. So we're going to watch time, but try to make some decisions on these today if we can. So ready? Okay. All right. April 9th. So again, to finish up, I'm sure Parks and Rec, Derek, I'm sure y'all ready for that mulch to be off of the parking lot there. So our goal will be able to do that this Saturday. I did go in, so Natalie and Josh, Claire, I still have to add you. Krista, I believe I added you, or I might have to still. Give Pulse is a volunteer platform, predominantly used by UCA here, but it's open community-wide. And it's a great way to solicit for volunteers, to track hours, registration. If there's any event changes, it's just a great communication tool. So that too will help streamline, because I envision us needing more volunteers going forward. So I'm trying to get a good foundation for how we can utilize that and communicate. So I did create an event today on Give Pulse for April 9th. And so Natalie has already shared that today. This is a very fast turnaround. If we could get about 10 to 15, we probably don't need that many, but if we could get about 10 to 15 volunteers, we could knock out all of that probably in just 2 to 3 hours. With Josh going around motivating everyone. That was part of it. He kept going around motivating, going 75 trees in, 125. He's like,
What time is this?
we're going to do it from 9 to 1 or noon. I can't remember what, but 9 to noon. So at the Mcgee Center, mulching and putting trunk guards around it to protect our trees. So I do ask, if you feel so compelled, please share far and wide that solicitation for volunteers so we can get some folks. It is a rescheduled event. Originally, we had scheduled it to partner with UCA. They do have a rescheduled event this weekend, but the volunteerism was pretty light. The kids are super busy. So any help to do that would be great. And I know, Krista, we need to talk about some funding to get the trunk guards. Do you have a quote or an amount for us that you would like for us to decide on?
Yeah, but I'm trying to find it. Sorry.
No. I can keep talking. You just tell me when you're ready, okay?
Okay.
So board support, no obligation, but is there anyone who can show up this weekend for an hour or two even? 9 to 10, beautiful.
I won't be there
Take
right
it.
at the start, but
You're
I can
fine.
be there a little later.
Thank you.
Probably like 11 or 10 or 11.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay. Okay, good. And
Okay,
think
I have that quote. Sorry.
go pretty quickly. No, you're good. Go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, there's some really inexpensive corrugated plastic trunk guards that we can get from A.M. Leonard, and they actually come in 4-foot lengths, so we'll have to cut them to fit on those little trees. But they're smaller than the trunk guards that we've used in the past, but a lot less expensive and easier to install, and they should be fine for those small trees. So we can get a bundle of 10 of those for $24.46, but then each one can be cut into like 6 trunk guards. So anyway, they've got kind of a coupon, like a $10 off a $100 purchase kind of thing. So I'm recommending that we get 5 bundles of 10. We will have to pay shipping, and it's unclear exactly what that will be until we actually order them. But it seems like $150 to $200 will be more than enough to buy the trunk guards that we need from Mcgee. And then we'll probably have some left over to use for other planting projects.
And I was going to add, and sometimes if you go up to that next bulk amount, it cuts down on shipping and costs. Would it be helpful? Would it behoove us to go ahead and make a larger purchase for later plantings, or just to wait?
I mean, we have to store them. We do have some storage here at my office, but
That's fine. Okay.
I think ordering the 5 would probably be fine for now.
Okay, perfect.
So I think if we could just maybe approve like a purchase up to $200 for trunk guards right now, I think that would work.
Okay,
I'll motion that.
thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Okay, all good. Okay, and so Krista, you're gonna take care of that?
Yeah,
or do
I
you
can purchase those.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Anything else about Saturday that we should discuss? Of course, tools and supplies, but anything else, Krista? So I thought in lieu of wheelbarrows, if we didn't have them, would it be okay? Would tarps? I was just thinking about the surface last time. And if we don't have a lot of wheelbarrows and buckets, could we do tarps, like load, mulch, and drag? Is that a thing? Or would that be okay on that terrain, you think? It's not too muddy.
I think tarps work. I like a good bucket myself.
I'm a bucket person too.
Yeah.
So bring your buckets. Buckets, pitchforks. It's going to be fun. I was kidding.
I have a
Okay,
few buckets I can bring.
Good. And we have wheelbarrow and wagon. I'll bring my wagon this time, and we can get maybe 4 or 5 buckets at a time instead of one, because it was a little bit of a trek, and that'll help with time too.
Do we have enough mulch, or do we need to get some more? You think there's enough?
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw the gardeners using it too. So I was
Oh,
like, hey,
nice.
look. Sharing, caring. Okay.
Actually, the gardeners really liked it. So if I don't know if if Parks Department would have to approve it, but the gardeners could maybe use a few other loads occasionally from Conway Corp.
Maybe in that bin where they put, though in the summer that gets hot, it can be combustible. So that would be something to consider in the heat. Of course, they wouldn't be doing it probably hot summer anyway. No spring and fall. It's a good idea. Okay, awesome. So then in terms of marketing, if you guys will just support, let's get the volunteer information out about that. And then we'll do just a follow up and get the signs out and everything this weekend too. So, okay, excellent. All right. So I'm excited because this is a love. Conway Ecofest is back finally since 2018 was our last in-person event. Just full transparency, I'm still an advisor on that board. This is my last year for that, but I am very excited to see Laura Traffenstedt is the new not new, but new, first in-person event for her. And so it is a smaller scale event this year, and the venue has changed. It's actually in Fifth Avenue Park. I am so excited. Can I just say, I went out, it was so pretty last weekend. I was getting caught up and went and walked the park, and there were probably 150 kids out there by 10 a.m. So I had no flyers, but I walked and told every single one of them that we're going to be back with tree activities and all kinds of stuff. So quickly, and I'll ask, actually, and you guys, I did a lot of printing just so we're all in the know. Paper's a renewable resource, yay. So if y'all wouldn't mind, take one down and pass it around, and then I'll pass these around. I have a few things for Ecofest to share with you guys. Bear with me 1 second, because I want to talk about the activities and then also talk about our placement in the park and make sure everyone is good to go. And, you know, I haven't spent as much time historically at Fifth Avenue Park, but we're finding that we really enjoy going over there. I do want to clarify something. The tree that we planted last year, is it the one between the two?
Thank you.
Like between the two pavilions? Do you know where the tree is that we planted? Krista?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I believe so.
Is that the one? I
Yeah.
thought so. It looked like it. So it's
You
looking.
talking about the two pavilions? It would be on the east side. Yes.
Yeah. So, and it's looking good. So that tree looks good. Okay. So we're looking at activities. Let me pause for a moment. I'm not sure of exact numbers, but the typical demographic for a Conway Ecofest event are younger families and children, and it's very interactive. If you can imagine, like Museum of Discovery or whoever's not been to Ecofest before, but it's lots of hands-on interactive activities. This year it will be held on Earth Day, and the focus is the 7 R's of sustainability. So it's rethink, repurpose. Most people think 3 R's, but there are many steps in and around that. And so Conway Ecofest will be, they will have sections that will focus on the 7 R's to talk about sustainability. And they will have some reading and bingo. They'll make their own kites and flying. So it'll be a full day. It's 1 to 4 that day. So it'll be a full afternoon. There'll be some entertainment. There's a wonderful magician and juggler. It's all educational and lots of fun for kids and families. A great way, again, to engage on a different level. And so really excited to participate and glad that they're back this year for that. So that being said, the day will require, and let me try to stick to my notes so I can not lose you guys. All right, so what do we want to do in the park with the kids? 2 activities is what I would like to do. And then have a third for some smaller kids, which Krista, I think the leaf rubbings, there's like leaf rubbings and there are rubber leaves and the kids can do crayons and paper, and that's super simple and that'll catch a younger age group. But for the older students and kids, and this is usually about elementary to upper middle school in terms of participants, and then volunteers and exhibitors are usually junior high up through college. And so I know they have over 100 different volunteers from UCA and the high school that'll be there and participating. So the older kids are there and get the engagement too, but they're actually learning, or teaching and help facilitate. So it's a different type of education. So it's all good stuff to get out to the community. So I'm proposing that we do 2 activities. And so we'll do it based off of the project learning tree. That's environmental education resources that are wonderful. And they give you a lot of specifics. So we all need trees and adopt a tree. I am going to say I want to modify this a little bit to simplify just for sake of time. So marketing and whoever is going to be at Ecofest, we will take some time. We will do some training. We'll have at least 1 Zoom call about it. We'll send materials, and then the day of the event, we'll have an hour to do some education and training on how to facilitate with anyone who couldn't be at the other meeting. So there will be some information on this. Excuse me. So, but I thought 2 things, and actually I'm going to bounce around for a second, but I gave you guys a map. Krista, I don't think I got this to you guys online, but I promised to send this out after. But when you walk, I'm not good at direction. northeast. So maybe if you're coming in on the north side of the park, and you enter in, there's the parking lot. And you'll see where it says visitor check-in, and then those dots, that's actually a sidewalk there. And then you'll see Ecofest has their volunteer check-in and tent hospitality. There's actually a nice tree line right there. There are about, 5 to 7 trees, fairly young, but there are different diameters. I think they're all the same tree, but they're a little bit different sizes, but proximity is great for activities with kids. And so I think one of the things that we can do, it's this adopt a tree activity. It's this activity number 21. And just to make it super simple for today, basically what we'll do is we'll engage the kids about the importance of trees. And there's information in this lesson that kind of walks us through all of that. And it's really about getting them to stop and experience the tree. We walk by them every day, may or may not notice them, don't really understand the value of what that gives to you. And so it's just about getting them to get to the tree, kind of experience in a different way, listen to it, smell it, hear it, what lives underneath it, what is on it, what does it bring to your community, why is it important? And so that's something, again, a thing that we can do just right. We could have probably 4 or 5 kids going at a time. There are some supplies or tools that are with this, if you'll see in your little booklet, and that adopt a tree activities. So there's a listing. There's no guesswork about how we can engage these kids. There are some great questions here already. And then on this back page, there's an adopt a tree certificate. And they'll actually take this, it's a sheet of paper, and it asks about the name of the tree, the circumference, the height, the birthplace. So we're going to actually let them name and have fun with these trees and personify them, and learn about the characteristics. And then they can actually do a tree rubbing in this little square here. So they'll do a tree rubbing with it. And so my hope is that they will engage these trees and then come back over time, look at them differently, pay attention to them. And so another thing we like to do at Ecofest is send kids home with something. Everybody wants something, right? You do an activity, you come to an event, you want to leave with something. I don't like to waste anything at all if we don't have to. So I'm going to throw a few things out, and I didn't get all my quotes back in time. But I would like to order, there are some mini, they're just cardstock journals with colored pencils, like 30 pencils, and we can get our logo put on the top. And I would like to send them home with instructions and an invitation to come back and visit the tree and interact with it, make notes or whatever. And then we could even add an online component where their parents can come and give feedback and, share, let the kids put a picture or whatever. So I could see that there could be growth potential. Come back the next year, what are we doing, right? So it could be a way to get them right at ground level about appreciating, honoring, and seeing what we can do to help protect those trees. Could even turn into some work days and volunteers where they go back and now we're loving on these trees that we've started talking about. And so I'm going to pause for a minute and y'all just tell me what your initial thoughts on that.
I mean, it sounds good to me. I like it.
I know it's sight unseen. We've not really walked the park. This is our first conversation about it. And this is like a knee-jerk leap ahead, but between sickness and spring break, it's like, ooh, it is here in 2 weeks. And so had to make a command decision. I am totally open to anything else. Krista, have you ever done this one before?
No, I really haven't done many of the PLT lessons.
Okay. It's fun. It's a great resource. I thank you. She shared her book with me. I have flagged about 30 of the activities we could do in there, but I think this might be a good base level, just introduction of trees. If it's not too expensive, I thought too, they have those little magnifier glasses as you can get. We sent them home with a little bag of the journal, a little magnifying glass, a little instruction sheet that invites them to go back. And if we had a link or whatever, they could do that. And then I have become very enamored of this forager out of Ohio, and she talks about edible food all of the time too. And so there are some recipes of, caveat, I want to look at allergies. I don't think there are any major concerns with that, but of course there's always a concern with any kind of allergies. But she makes all kinds of foods, but one of the things she's doing right now is either with forsythia bushes or with wisteria, which will probably be blooming not too long after Ecofest, where you take the flowers, you make a simple syrup with it, and you can flavor your teas and coffees. Dandelion root coffee, there's capers, you eat the fruit. So I thought we could send maybe a couple of recipes home in the bag. Maybe mom might have an interest, or dad, or whomever, to get out and start experiencing their yard. After watching her, I'm in my yard, and instead of plucking my weeds to kill them, I pluck them to start eating them, or I leave them for my pollinators. And so anyway, so I think that just the connection of, we actually live in a forest in a city, and it's under our feet and it's over our head. And so I think that's where we can go in and do some education. So it was a little long-winded, but I have this great dream of this take-home bag that starts getting people introduced to parks and yards. And so, not that we want y'all to have weeds everywhere in your parks. I know you don't want that. But anyway, thoughts, suggestions?
The only thing I'd be worried about is if somebody does spray their yard.
To put
Eating,
it on, yeah.
like to encourage kids to eat things and they don't know that their mom or dad sprays for whatever.
Excellent thought.
Just a thought. I love that idea,
Krista,
but
I know.
we're in a community of people that use chemicals.
Yeah. We weren't given a lot of options early on. I think we're getting, we'll get there eventually. Yeah. So that is a good consideration. Krista, thoughts on that?
I think Claire is right that
Okay.
it's
Stay away
difficult to
from-
encourage. Yeah.
You're right. Okay. We'll stay on.
Encouraging foraging in cities is a lot more challenging than like out in the woods.
True. Okay. Good thought on that. We will pull that for sure. Okay. All right. So that would happen on the tree line there. And then also we can hang some things between trees and hang some of the artwork from the kids and just kind of show some stuff there. The other activity that I was considering, and this is for younger children and, well, all age groups, but, and Krista, stop me if we no longer have those trees. There used to be these larger trees, I say large, but they're about 3 foot by, or maybe 4 feet by 2 or 3 foot round. And they were like wooden trees that had ledges on them that looked like maybe they're at the extension office, that were like for an activity of, are they there?
We do have those. We will be we'll be using them on the 25th and 26th and 27th for an activity. So if we were going to use those on the 23rd, we would just need to make sure we get them back to the extension office probably that same day.
Okay. I can do that because I will be there the entire time, and we'll talk about shifts and schedules and stuff in just a minute. I kind of wanted to get the activities out, and that way you'll have some time. If you think about something later, you can share. But yeah, if you don't mind, that was another thought. And this takes us to the activity number 13. It's the We All Need Trees. So in terms of like food, furniture, cellulose products, there are lots of things people don't realize that are made from trees, like even our cellophane bags. Like not all plastics are bad, right? So I think and just so you guys understand, these are trees, they're kind of wooden, tall, great for young children. They've got little ledges, and I have already started saving my trash at home. So I have prescription pill bottle, clean, marked out prescription and medication bottles, cellophane. So if y'all see in these examples, we could engage the kids with trees and with actual items or pictures and have them go place on the tree things that they think come from a tree. And it could be a food product, it could be a wood product, cork, anything made from the fiber or made from the cellulose products. And that's like rayon, I mean, vanilla, suntan lotion, cosmetics. Like there's so many things we have in our home. And so that might just be a fun, we can have some kids running around and doing that as well. As you read, and I just want to stop for a moment, as you read through these activities, it will show scenarios that are in classrooms and where you have a little more time and structure. And so that's where I say I'm going to take these and modify it into more just hands-on, or different type of hands-on with actual materials and things like that they can touch and we can interact. And then on the trees, for our volunteers, we can have some 8x10 printouts of like what that tree should be and what the information is. So again, education will come to whoever supports this. But we could, how many trees are there, Krista? Are there 3 of them? 2 of them?
I was just wondering, do you want me to run down there and see?
No, we could do,
I'm
that's
sure.
not, no,
I mean, it's
I
just
didn't know.
something.
But there's more, there's like at least 2 or 3 of them, right?
I actually don't know.
No, that's okay. All right, we'll circle back to that. But yeah, so in the next day or so, if we can confirm that, but we can set up and then set up different categories and just let the kids have another activity to do with that. So I guess there would be 3 activities: the leaf rubbing, all we need is we all need trees, and then the adopt a tree. So those would be the 3 activities. And did Harold, I don't know if you'll ask Harold if we could have the rubber tree leafing. Of course, we'd want natural, but I think for sake of time and the time of year, we need the rubber leaves to do that this time.
Yeah, he said I could borrow those.
Beautiful. Okay. So, and I know Krista will not be here for this event. I'll be leading this event. And it will require some board support and also lots of volunteers. And so just kind of quick math, looking at who, let me pause for a second. Any questions about the We All Need Trees activity? I don't want to rush too quickly through this, but I'm trying to keep it simple, hands-on, fun. They can run and interact. They're happy and they're learning. Okay. All right. So if we're good with activities, then I do want to kind of talk about the day. Let me go back to the park. So this whole tree line that you see on the map, that's where we'll be. And we can horseshoe. So we're going to need some 6-foot tables. And you'll see on the next slide, I have some supply lists for each activity, some general needs supply list, and then actual people support. So that's your next slide that we have. And so I would just ask if y'all have anything at home that you can donate to the cause. If we could have it all by the 20th, I can gather and make sure everything gets to the park on time and gets set up. So just kind of look through that. In terms of general setup, we will have the tree line, adopt a tree will kind of take care of itself in that tree line. And then we can just set up like a horseshoe series of 6-foot tables and let kids have places to do the crayon work. I would also, if our timelines work out okay, we should have maybe some t-shirts and hats. We're still working through logos on that. And we will have some of our free giveaways like our stickers, our bandanas, and then anything that we can order for the kiddos for takeaways. At our exhibit, I would also like to have of course, the Tree City flag, but I would love a schedule of events and our mission and vision and have some people present who can talk about what we are doing as the tree board for the remainder of the year. Do y'all need more? Do you need something? You got it? Oh, I'm so sorry. So we want to educate the kids, but where the kids come, the parents follow, or vice versa. And so that is our time to engage them too, and just kind of reintroduce ourselves, talk about who we are as a tree board and what we'll be for the remainder of the year, and invite them to interact with us. And so back to marketing, we're going to need some posters printed, some flyers. There'll be lots of printing and some things that we'll need to get in line. So we do really need to have a couple of good marketing meetings before we get to Ecofest.
Can we talk through email on what needs to be on the posters?
Absolutely.
I'll make them, but I want to know what's on them.
That would be great. So, yeah. And
And
my
we
intent
can-
was to have all that by today. Did not happen.
That's okay. We can coordinate on like design and stuff too
do that.
so you can do the posters and then I can do like social media
Deal.
and keep them kind of the same.
Deal.
And then we'll need some, yes, I do want it to be very cohesive with everything. Again, back to handles, tags, looks. And then also Ecofest has their theme, so we can make them a co-host and stay in line for their event. You know, let's work with them on that too.
Do you want me to go ahead and create that event?
Be beautiful.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Good.
And
Thank you.
I have a table we can borrow, but how are we going to keep track of the items you need?
So if y'all just want to, because again, I'm throwing this out really fast. So if you want to tell me now if you want to commit to something, or you can email me. I do have a 6-foot table. I have 2 canopy tents that we can use.
Can we do a Google sheet and I
Yes.
can list out all the things and then we can all go in there and just put our name next to it?
Deal.
Okay.
That's good.
That's why she's awesome.
Yeah.
In the
I've
past,
got a
I have a table
couple
too, so-
coolers. I got
in the
table back.
past,
Yeah,
our
that'd be great.
department
Oh, did you?
chairs and set all that up for y'all.
Oh, just kidding.
That would be wonderful.
Oh, that'd be
Okay.
great.
Yay, Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
Okay, so you'll do tables
We'll do chairs.
and chairs. Perfect. And like I said, I've got the 2
If there's
tent
you'll
canopy.
have those tents there.
I think they're-
We'll help you set that up.
Oh, there's, yeah, thank you. But they're not anything major like that, but there'll be kites flying, so you don't need a lot of overhead. So, but thank you, that would be great. And then, yes, so we'll get it all figured out in terms of marketing and how we want to present out there too. So, okay, let's see.
Is 4 sufficient? Is that what you're thinking? 4
Mhm.
tables?
I think just just in case, I didn't know, what we'd have. So that would be great. Okay, so I will do the tents. Derek's gonna do the tables and chairs. We got the flag, swag, and all that good stuff. Marketing's gonna work on, the posters and the printing.
What is the QR code for our website?
Everything's just kind of gone digital. So if we don't want to do a lot of printing or people who prefer a digital format, we can just do one sign with a pop-up, schedule events. We could do some small flyers. We can do a QR code. We can put it on our posters, like that takes people to the website or whatever. Not necessary. I just know there's a lot of that going on.
No, so I think the question was more like, where do you want the QR code to link to?
The website, right?
Right, either
Okay,
the
yeah.
website or our social or,
And
yeah.
I
so
saw
we'll
on
determine-
Instagram you can pull a QR code pretty easily, which
Yeah.
I'd never seen that before.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Oh yeah,
we could
they're
do like
easy to make.
Instagram,
Yeah.
Facebook, the event,
Yeah.
whatever we need to do.
And so-
There are lots of websites that'll generate QR codes for you based on.
We
either
can even
text
put
or
our logo
URL
in the
or
middle of
whatever,
it.
yeah.
All right. Okay, so the day, so back to it's April 23rd, it's 1 to 4 p.m. But actual setup begins as early as 10 a.m. So we don't have a lot of setup to do. I don't anticipate. We'll have to do some front loading on the workload. I'd like by Friday, maybe have a good working day on that 22nd or 21st, get everything together, and then we're just rolling out. Take us probably an hour to set up, and then give us an hour of time with our volunteers so we can go and get some good one-on-one time on how we want that day to roll out. So 10, 11 to 12. It's start time right at 1 o'clock. I'll tell you, that's late in the day for Fifth Avenue Park. I'm kind of curious how this is going to roll out because, again, we went early in the morning. The pavilions were filled, about 150 kids. And so I know there'll be a different strategy with taping things off with Ecofest, but we want to get in, get set up because we will probably, if we can start early, we might start early because I'll anticipate people being there. So the goal would be to get there at 10, be set up by 11 to 12. We're doing training. Take a quick break, get ready to roll. So we will do that. And then typically tear downs about 30 minutes to an hour, depending on, historically, people will start dying off around 3 or 3:30. You don't want to fully tear down, but we're usually out of there by 5. So that's about 7 hours of a commitment. And so, everyone can contribute at different levels, and I have no expectations of everyone being there at all events. I would ask if you can. This is an important event. And then also for Arbor Day would be where I would like to have full board engagement as much as we can during that week too. So that being said, we can do 3-hour shifts. That's how we'll rotate the volunteers, typically 3 to 4 hours. That way we've got good coverage right in the middle and then not so many people on the beginning and the end. But I think to pull all of this off, we're going to need 6 board members and at least 6 volunteers. I'm going to shoot probably for 10 or 12 volunteers on that.
I can
So-
commit to being there.
Yay, and bring your baby girl. She'll love it.
Okay.
I'll be there too, but I can't tell you exactly what time.
Do you want me to do a sign up sheet for that too?
Yes.
Oh, that would be
So
good. Yes.
this is where I'm hopeful is that you're going to be able to help us get very organized with this. Really,
I can do that.
Thanks. Yeah. So, yeah. And then, so we'll do a sign up for that. And that's why I sent you guys an email to invite you to give Pulse. So if we want to do all of our volunteer efforts through there and then share it through our social, that'll keep it all in one place. And I've had to cancel 2 events. And let me tell you, it was a lifesaver. because the notice goes out to everyone immediately. It's just a super effective way to balance volunteers. So yes, and y'all let me know once you get that email and get into Give Pulse if you don't have the permissions or anything that you need or have any questions. I can help with that for sure. So
I got the
and I'll
email. I
let
just
you know.
haven't looked at it yet.
It's okay. Y'all, it's always Monday mad dash with last minute information. So wanted you at least to have it. And then also I have an email with all of the links of all of these tools. Plus they are in the Google Drive, and I'll send them just more information, disregard it if you don't need it, but I want you to have access to it. So, all right. So Claire, you will be there.
Yes.
Thank you for that.
I will actually be in town this time.
Beautiful. I'm going to be there all day. Josh will be there some.
I'll be at least, I'm going to try to aim for the whole day, but I'll be at least there for a few hours,
Yeah.
and like at least 3 to 4 hours.
Yeah.
I'll let you
Okay.
know for sure.
Sure. Okay. Perfect. Thank you. All right. Okay. And then, okay. Let's see. So talking about Ecofest. So money. Let me see. Where are we now? Okay. So the initial cost of the journals and some magnifying glasses, we're looking at about $600. But I did go ahead, I would like to order 250. That may not be near enough, but this is a smaller event. If it's too much, and it responds well, that's something we can continue on for Arbor Day too. So I'd rather, order at least 250 right now. And that would get us the mini journals with our logo on it. And it is a little bit more of an expensive purchase, but I think it's something that's not wasteful. It won't go away. And hopefully we'll see a return on investment with that through the reuse of it. So I don't have an official quote, so I don't know honestly like how we're supposed to vote or decide on this, but we do need to, I guess that would fall under our marketing funds. We have already allocated money through our marketing funds, so I'm assuming that's what this would come through. I'm looking like you have all the answers, but
I think it probably would. Yeah,
so we
that
fall
and
under
then
marketing. Okay.
yeah. And if we wanted to do t-shirts too,
Yeah.
and I can't remember the exact amount that we had left, but I'm thinking it was 800-ish maybe.
It was a lot.
I think it was more than that.
Was it more than
Yeah,
that?
well, I think
Okay.
we're still over $1,000. And again,
Okay.
I think so. Some of this will carry over to Arbor Day, and we could actually look at maybe the funding and how but for
Mhm.
now, I think between t-shirts, at least an initial order enough for Ecofest, and doing the giveaways, we could fall under that.
Are the journals? Oh, sorry. Are
No.
the journals date specific?
No, it's
Okay.
just actually they're just little flip notebooks,
Oh, okay. Perfect.
cardstock, and they come with a little set of pencils. So it's just for
Okay.
them to write. There's no
Well-
prompts. That's where I thought where we can come in is do a little printout to put in the bag that tells them kind of what to do with it, and their
Yeah.
little Adopt a Tree certification will have those prompts. So we can print some of these materials and send them home with that. Yeah, but it's not dated at all. It's just a notebook.
Okay, good. Well, we
Yeah.
could use them next year too. if we
Yeah,
needed to.
that's what I would like to do. So my thought, like, gosh, if this goes really well, it could be something we could carry to another park and do another event with some kids. And so I think let's just test it out. Do y'all like that idea? You feel okay?
Yeah.
All right. Are we good to move forward with ordering okay. All right, I will, before I do anything, I'll send it to you guys and make sure we're all on the same page. Okay. Okay. All right. Now, as far as t-shirts, I think I left my print. Actually, it's in my printer at work. But there are logos. So Rock City Outfitters has been partnering with us too. They did bandanas for us. They're looking at t-shirts and hats. And so
Are these the designs you sent out recently via text and we commented on them? Okay,
Yes.
yeah, just making sure.
yes. Oh, I might have printed it.
I love the design you made.
It's cute. Well,
Oh, I love
so
it too.
our logo, and again, this is me up all night because that's what you do when you're in your 50s. Stay up all night and draw pictures. But there are some logos, but basically we're looking at what are some fun print logos that we could get out there that are kind of symbolic of Conway. And so we've got a mountain range, we've got some water, we've got a roundabout that looks like a sun. We've got our tree logo. So it's kind of like, what is Conway? I had to put a roundabout. Sorry, had to do that. Sorry, not sorry. But anyways, we're just working on scale and size. And so as soon as we all get
That
that
was my
hashed
favorite.
out,
Yeah, I like that one, but
Yeah, we're still
That's the one I was
tweaking.
talking
Yeah, and I gotta say, kudos to Ryan. We keep going back and forth with logos, so we'll get that nailed down and try to get those ordered. I do have a question. So, coloring of, do you have preferences on colors of T-shirts? We want it to appeal to male, female, young, old.
I would just say avoid white because it shows so many stains, especially if you're going to be out there wearing it when you're working on trees or whatever.
Yes, and
But
we will do
other
one.
than that,
Yeah, and we'll just do one color print to cut down on cost. But it'd be nice to give our volunteers. So I'd like on that day, if we can have on our Conway Tree shirts, and we'll get our volunteers in shirts, and then the rest we can either do it by donation or sellable. I'm not necessarily concerned about making a profit off of this. If we can recoup some losses and get some education out is kind of my thought. But this is my first time on a city board, so I don't know kind of the particulars on that. So I don't know if anyone has
Do we have Conway tree shirts?
insights.
No. Okay, just making sure.
That's next.
That's
Did you
I
want
don't.
for the board
I don't
meeting?
have one, so you mentioned wearing one, and I was like, oh,
No.
did I
Well,
miss
we
that
have
one?
some old ones, so we've been
Yeah,
going through some
there
of
are
the
some older
older
ones.
things. There may be some still in the extension
Mhm.
office for our celebration trees and for
Mhm.
um,
I'm trying to think of the wording on the green one.
yeah, those are gone.
Are those
Keep
gone?
calm and plant
Yes.
trees is what it
That's
is.
it.
Those were huge, and that was like that
That,
header.
that one's been so popular, it wouldn't be bad to reprint some, actually.
And I think we could do several, and we're even
Mhm.
looking at not only getting things for events and volunteers, but maybe even get an agreement where we could sell some and
Yeah.
the proceeds. That's just another way to get funding to go into like a tree ESCO fund or some kind of maintenance fund for trees or whatever. So we're looking at several different ways to engage and to help grow some funding and get people thinking
Mhm.
about trees. So, okay. Kind of lost my thought and time. So
As far as shirts go, could we do like multiple colors or could we just do one?
I think, just being mindful of our cost and the
Yeah.
amounts and quantities, right? And so I think if
Mhm.
we can get a good relationship going and we start with our smaller orders and we'll branch out, because if this works, again, we can use this for Arbor Day, the ID Walk, any of the events that we have going
Yeah.
on. And so we can look at kind of low, high cost in
Mhm.
terms of T-shirts and do like a volunteer shirt that won't cost us as much versus, something that we may eventually sell or get donation from.
Mhm.
So,
Gray and green.
gray and green.
yeah, I was going to
Thank
say
you. I was looking for
green
an
is the
answer.
obvious color.
Yeah.
But Kelly green, and we could do.
I like the
We could do like
heather,
the olive,
heather
like the
green.
or like the muted like olive-y color. You
Well,
know?
The keep calm one is kind of a heathered green.
Yeah, I like that one.
Seemed like a lot of people liked it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There are probably other like kind of earth tones that could work. You think about fall colors on trees.
Yes.
And there may be a color that's cheaper than another. Just
That's
kind
for
of
the
tell them.
brands
Yeah.
and all this,
Green.
Yeah.
Let them
When we did a Kelly green, and I'm not a fan of that, but but green, gray. Any other suggestions?
Yeah, like
mean,
if we
earth
did
tones,
some
so
earth tones,
browns,
some more neutral earth
tans.
Okay.
tones, I think people would be more willing to wear those in every day instead of like
Mhm.
the bright green.
Okay. And then something that's just kind of stuck is, so Conway Trees is on the logo, and then it's Plant, Preserve, Protect. And I like it. I like that because that's what we do. But if y'all are okay with that, and we'll kind of let that be the tagline, and that will help with some of our categories when we're thinking about events that we want to do. So whether it's future development or historic preservation, or we're just out working, so landed, and hope that's okay.
We ought to just make it our official like motto or whatever.
And we can,
Branding.
yeah.
Branding.
So branding
yeah,
is
exactly.
very important, and I think that's where we need to kind of get a grip. And with the forestry management group too, it's like, what are our priorities and how do we categorize that? And so it will all come together, and those seem to be the buckets that they're falling in. So, okay, good deal. All right. Any more thoughts on Ecofest shirts? Okay. All right. So let's talk about marketing meeting. I know we threw out a couple of time. So the lunch, we've been doing lunch meetings for the marketing meetings. Is that still working for you guys? I say marketing, community action committee. Like it's been marketing mostly right now, or a lot of marketing. But is that lunchtime meeting time still work, Natalie? for
Generally,
you
that
too?
works for me.
I can make just about any thing work.
Yeah.
I mean,
just
technically,
as
I
long as
can't
they
do
have
it.
a heads up, I can
Mhm.
schedule around
Okay.
it.
Yeah, I can too.
Or if y'all want to have an in-person after work brainstorming, maybe that would be better this time. It's up to y'all, but we can do that.
I will say evenings are difficult for me.
Okay, day.
That is prime time for my job.
No, I know. You're
Yeah.
fine. You're fine.
I get off work at 7, so it's going to be.
Okay, so let's do a lunch meeting. Is there a time,
good.
sooner than later is best? So is there a time for y'all this week? I can't do.
I'm always on lunch 1 to 3, but again, I'm flexible because I'm self-employed, so I can do
Okay.
whatever time. Really, I just need some advance notice so I can tell my customers I won't be available.
Let's do y'all want to look at next week or later this week?
The only thing I can't do is this Thursday.
Okay.
Can we do next week? Is that okay?
Hmm?
Can we do next week instead?
When's
Yeah,
good
I'm
for
fine
you,
with next
Claire?
week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Monday, any day but Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm free.
You want to do, is Monday good, or is that crazy? Mondays are kind of a crazy day.
Might be good to get it started.
Yep. Good.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to do Monday the 11th at
Or
1
we can
o'clock?
we can do
No, no, no.
Wednesday.
No, keep me honest.
I'm free any
All right,
time during
let's
lunch
let's
next week.
commit 1 p.m.
All right.
And I keep saying March, but it is April 11th. All right. So we will do
Wednesday.
that. And then y'all take some time over this week if you'll look through all these materials, kind of absorb, get some ideas, and then we'll get a good plan going, get the sheets going, all that. Okay.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you. Very excited. Okay. Moving on. How we doing on time?
Is this in person or on the phone?
Zoom. It'll be lunch, so we'll mostly be at work. So let's do Zoom.
Zoom.
Yeah, Zoom's fine.
Yeah, it'll be more efficient.
Well, it's in my calendar now, so I won't forget.
Oh, lovely. Okay. All right. So we're going to move on to celebration trees. And Krista, you want to start us off, or you want me to start off?
Whichever. Yeah, I mean, you actually attended the actual meeting.
Okay.
Hey, just a quick edit. So, Krista, I'm not sure if you saw the email from Spencer that just came through.
Did
Oh,
not.
Yeah, so we have an update about that.
Okay.
They've decided not to remove any of the healthy trees. So that may
That is
change the
good
way we
news.
talk about this a little bit.
That's really good news.
So, and just for those who aren't in the loop, everyone may be in the loop, but we, so Spencer Clausen, physical plant manager, I think maybe for 2 years now, had, well, we connected and there was money given to expand the celebration trees that were started down Prince Street. And so just to get everybody on the same page, and I think Claire passed out some celebration tree materials for you. And so what we passed out is the existing program. And I'm going to pause. The tree board implemented the celebration tree program, I believe it was 2015, and then it was suspended in 2018. There were some concerns in terms of maintenance and loss of trees. There wasn't proper irrigation, and then ownership in terms of maintenance. Am I understanding?
Yes.
Sound right? So the last thing we want to do, if someone purchases a tree in honor or celebration of someone, we don't want that tree to die. So that's a big deal. And so we kind of suspended that program until we could hash out responsibilities and how we can appropriately maintain. So that brings us to now. The city council received some funds to go back and implement these dollars back into trees. I can't say honestly that they knew that they were aware that this was the celebration trees initially. I'm not sure at what point, but there was a plan to go through and remove, and I'm going to pause. The area that we're speaking about is on Prince Street from Western to Salem.
Yeah, that's what it says in
Salem. I
here.
said that very confidently. But there are already about 20 trees right now in the islands in the middle of Prince Street and some in the roundabouts. Those are the existing celebration trees. They were selected, and you'll see in your handouts here, kind of took you through the program. It's where someone got to select their species of tree. There was an individual plaque on it. There were dedication ceremonies, certificates, like it's a really nice process that was already happening. And so, again, not having full understanding of physical plant, which, you know, to their benefit is just trying to get trees in the ground. But for uniformity and their purposes, I think it was take those out. Let's get in some columnar trees and get a nice look through the middle. They asked for our feedback, due diligence, looking into it, and all the dynamics of the program. We had some really great concerns that we would be removing healthy trees dedicated in honor of some very important people and a memorial. So we've got, and I've given you guys the list of the people who are out there now. So I did not want to be the person to call and tell that family member we're taking out a healthy tree. And nor does anyone else. So I'm grateful for that. So the consideration to pull out those has been ceased. And that's the important part. Conversations are ongoing
That's good
about
news.
what that looks like. I've not read Spencer's email, but I can just say it's ongoing, and appreciate their partnership on trying to get it right. Some of the concerns about removal of the trees in the middle were because the root sprawl can cause damage in terms of asphalt. And so there are some concerns about that. Rights of way, passage, visibility. So there are some true concerns about why they were wanting to remove those trees. But I think looking at the numbers and looking at just really, that would be a negative impact for us to take out those trees. There's no reason to do that. Once you look at cost perspective, asphalt is less than trees. And so we can always replace that. So anyways, it looks like they're going to cease on the removal of that. Now the next steps and where the conversations are ongoing is now what does that lane look like? So where I think there were some initial trees in the roundabouts, and Kyle, y'all stop me at any time, keep me honest, but as I understand, the roundabouts had trees planted in them. Now the Public Arts Board has kind of taken ownership of roundabouts and what's going to go in that, because trees were not a great solution for roundabouts. So when you think about maintenance and care, not the best spot necessarily for a large tree in all circumstances. And so I think it's smart to get the arts board there. And again, I see that as an opportunity to partner from boards and go, that'd be great art, but can we have it symbolic of some additional trees? I don't know what the plans are for art board.
Right now, it's very open.
Good. So
there's plenty of opportunities for
timing.
trees to still
Yes.
be incorporated.
Yes. Well, or even their art can kind of
Yeah.
depict celebration, or, so I envision kind of that Prince Street line, that Prince Street plantings, kind of like a celebration lane. It'd be great if we've got trees going down the middle, and then what if we get some down on other sides of the sidewalks? And so it's kind of consideration of how do we reinstate that program? How do we protect so we don't find ourselves in another issue where it's one tree for one person? Maybe we could do street dedications, like the horrible name, but Celebration Lane on Prince Street, donate towards the Prince Street plantings, right? And instead of having, as it is now, with individual plaques on individual trees, you could put towards an area, and we would have one spot where we can have engraved pavers. So in terms of maintenance, cost, upkeep, responsibility and ethic, stewardship, and how we report to our people who have donated to that. We do want to still keep it very personal and individualized. I think that's the one thing that's key. And I can say from a personal perspective, we did trees for some past family members, and the thought of it going in a forest somewhere wasn't as appealing as where can I go and sit and enjoy this and think about my loved one, right? So keeping that in mind, I thought if there is still a location that's walkable, enjoyable, but it's not that one tree that may or may not be missing, we're not so focused on that, but more the overall impact. And so I think it goes from Western, so that's really kind of the gazebo at Laurel Park, I think, not that far down, but probably starts. So a couple of ideas would be maybe we do pavers or extend on the sidewalk, brick pavers or something, etch names, or we have one place maybe by the gazebo in Laurel Park where we have a little, it's not a memorial, I don't know what we would call it, but a place to go and celebrate, or where their names can be memorialized. But giving a location to give honor and then having a full experience of the whole street might be a neat thing.
Maybe even an explanation, because some people aren't going to know that even exists.
Yeah.
So,
And that's where, so if you go now to the city website, like it's pulled because it's been suspended. But I will tell you, I'm not Sure, it's always interesting how things happen, but emails start coming in about celebration trees. So it's like I had the meeting with Spencer, and 2 days later, we've had 2 requests of people who are wanting to donate money in honor of someone in the city. And so I did ask them to just kind of pause right now because it was evolving. And then we had a comment come in today about trees, so celebration trees. So I think the timeliness to bring it back, it's really important, a la COVID too. There's been a lot of loss. And then, so that would be a great way to honor. We could do something close to the hospitals, so I'm thinking of different locations where we could expand that. And now if we're not doing an individual tree, we could even create, and if you look at the program, I think it was $350. They got to do the selection, they got the tree, they got the plaque, and that guaranteed lifetime maintenance and upkeep of that particular tree. So the question would be, how do we then fund that and word that if it's not a specific tree? But we could play with different amounts, and maybe it goes to a tree on a certain street or a certain area.
Something I was thinking about is they're working on Parks and Recreation is working on rebuilding that park over there off Prince Street by Walmart, and maybe that's something we could look into
Pompeii?
integrating. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the name of it. I couldn't
Yeah,
remember. Integrating something like that into the park there as well.
And it's a veterans park,
Oh,
So
yeah,
that
it
would be
is.
perfect. So if you can invite like Prince Street, you're just driving down, right? And then it's just going to keep on happening down into the park, and a lot of walkability. Yeah, and that would just further encourage like all the things we want to do, live, work, play. And were you going to say something else?
No, I just thought about the park's right there. The
Yeah.
city's working on it. Why not see if we can get involved there as well? Especially at the early stage right now,
Yeah.
or fairly early stage.
So good. Hoping you would like that. So, okay. Lots of efforts. Krista, you want to chime in now?
Well, I mean, as far as like how to move forward, I have to admit that I'm not a big fan of memorial trees because it's a lot of pressure to keep them alive. So I prefer the idea of it being, people donating to an area, or even just in general, like actually it's on this slide to create a tree fund, like a community tree fund that people could make donations to, that literally could go to any, public tree care, planting, preservation in the city. So that would be my preference, I think.
What if it wasn't a specific tree, but we did like the pavers and it's almost like a shaded walk,
Well,
No, I think that would be great. So there are some examples of what they call like memorial groves. So, a stand of trees that is, and like I think about memorial gardens where they, it's often kind of a very peaceful, restful place, and then you might have the bricks. So yeah, I like that.
Is a grove, that way if you lose one tree, it's
Right.
not tied into a specific
Yes.
person. But it's
Yeah.
still a place where they can go specifically
Right.
and go and think about their loved ones.
because
or
it's the
whatever.
sitting, it's there, you want to have a place to go and reflect. So I think that's important whenever we make decisions of where the grove would be.
I
And have a
personally
nice
like that
little
idea.
bench with some flowers and where
That's
it's
something we
little
could do in Lowell Park
calming.
and in the new park.
Sure.
Mhm.
On
And
either- on either
everything in
end, yeah.
between,
Yeah.
You
And
could
that-
always increase your grove as your donations grow as well. too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then also, and right now, so the trees are in the middle of the islands when you're driving down, and that's where the plaques are. So that's not very conducive to let's go enjoy a tree
Yeah,
in the middle of that street.
I've seen the little plaques
So,
there forever, but
yeah.
I never knew what they were for. 'Cause
Yeah.
I don't stop. I just drive down the road. I'm like, oh, that's a tree for something.
Yeah.
I've been in those meetings. It's unpleasant.
Right. And so we do want to invite people, like these are pretty trees, but you don't have to just drive by them. You can like get out and walk. But so, we do want to be mindful when they make selections. So, and again, I've not looked at any updates, so stop me if this is irrelevant, but the initial selection was of a sweet gum tree that was sterile, so won't have the droppings, but they're a tall columnar tree. But then also, so in terms of our role, I do think about things like urban heat island effect, like how can we make the trees work even better for us? We want them pretty, we want them aesthetically pleasing, but we also want a good function. So if there is an agreement that can be come to actually add some shade trees to, again, walkability, enjoyment, great sidewalks. The city's been doing some wonderful work on our infrastructure. We can get out and enjoy those. And so how can we possibly introduce some shade trees? But again, I'm going to stop because if they're not removing the trees that are there now, that's going to change the whole kind of direction. Do you have anything else, Kyle, that
I know I had talked with Spencer a while back, and he had mentioned planting some trees like they had over on Harkrider by Hendricks Village, which I think that might be the sweet gums, which are taller, and I guess the roots aren't extending out nearly as far. So he said that was something that they had also looked at because, you know, that was definitely a concern. And also the visibility for pedestrians crossing. He mentioned some of the crosswalks on Prince Street where they're constantly having to go out now and trim the trees so that you can see somebody if they're crossing at the crosswalk, because that becomes an issue too.
Yes.
So I think that would definitely help to solve that as well.
Yeah.
That one is
they're
definitely
very busy. That one at
big concern.
Barris, like
Yeah.
it gets pretty chaotic. My son.
And obviously in the winter it's not nearly as much of an issue, but then in the summer when the tree is, you know, in full bloom,
Yeah.
you
And I
you
do
have
want to
that.
commend Spencer too, just for a minute. I know he is very invested and aware and wanting to do the best that he can. So he's talked about how to eventually lift canopies, like even the crepe myrtles. I know they heard a lot about those in certain areas, but actually if you look, it was a smart decision for them, the way that they made cuts in a lot of places to allow the canopy to go higher. And that in turn is going to save, healthier trees, less maintenance, cut down on resources. And so I think his intent and his decision-making is in the right place. And it was good timing. It's kind of symbiotic how everyone's kind of coming together now and the departments are talking about it. I think that's really good. So,
We're talking about shade trees and urban heatland. That's something else we could look at with the city where they're doing the new pedestrian corridor along College Avenue. We could get in with them and talk about either saving the trees, the mature trees that are already there, or planting some new ones along the side that would be great for shade for the pedestrians and the bikes and the road too.
yeah. And I think that's where we can be mindful, like how are people engaging? And we'll talk about this with Arbor Day too, but there will be different pockets and different priorities for everyone, you know, and how they engage. And so I think if we kind of move forward with that perspective of how do we, in terms of city, our number one goal is, you know, how do we have a good, livable, healthy, sustainable community? And in terms of economic resources, strains on our natural resources, viability, and then also just community engagement, I think it's important that we all continue to work together. And lost my train of thought, but it's going really well so far. So I just want to say thank you for that. And then one last thing, Planning Commission meeting, I did listen to that. This is kind of a segue, but also to may seem random, but kind of on Prince Street in that area. I know there's some development there, and I watched the Planning Commission meeting the other night. And thank you to those who are speaking up for the trees. I think I'd asked that before, like who speaks for the trees at Planning Commission? And there was a lot of speak about buffers, protecting roots, noise pollution, that mix of resident and commercial, and that's kind of all in the same area that we're discussing. So I think, again, back to how the communication's already improving, or maybe it's been there and I'm new, but it seems like it's going really well in terms of thinking about the trees. We've heard loud and clear that from the community, this is a top priority, and so the city's responding accordingly. So just want to give a shout out. I know we hear a lot about, the city's tearing down trees, but there's a lot of good work of people who are trying to do the right thing. So,
It's not the city tearing down the trees; it's the developers tearing down trees.
yeah. So, okay. Any other thoughts on, I want one more thing on this. And I'm not sure if you guys have had a chance to look. This is also in the Google Drive, but Krista did a tree inventory of Laurel Park. And again, back to data and analysis and why meetings with GIS is so important. Had she not done this tree inventory, we wouldn't have known that maybe sweet gum is not the best selection. So in terms of saturation of any one type of tree in a certain area, we were already kind of at a suggested threshold for this particular tree. And so if we were to have another invasive species come through, we would already have 30% of Laurel Park wiped out and then potentially this new area. So when we talk about protecting the city's resources and our funding and the replacement of the trees in Laurel Park's loss alone is $216,000. So we don't want to turn around and add that. So we want to be mindful of what's the right location for the right tree for the right purpose, and then also long term in 10 or 15 years, what does that look like in terms of maintenance, upkeep, and if we had to do any replacement, stuff like that. So that is where, Krista, thank you for that information. And again, going back to data where it's going to help us understand how to better make those selections. And then it's also going to help us give some really good species recommendations in terms of what do people want to plant in their yards or around the city. Once we can continue to get this information, we can then give some really good recommendations too. So Chris has been working really hard for that. So thank you. All right. How are we doing on time? Okay, jam-packed. All right, so do continue to look through celebration trees. No, we will be asking for people who want to contribute to this, because that'll be another marketing, another big program. But just so you guys know, that's kind of what's been going on with celebration trees. All right, so in 7 minutes or less. Ready? Okay. And this will just be kind of touch base. So last year we tried to do like yoga in the park, and we did some events to engage the community. We don't want to lose that this year, but we do want to make sure that we are leaving enough room in the summer to do some really good planning, because we would love to have our Arbor Day again come back in person this year. And there are several ideas that I have jotted down on some paper that I will be sending to you guys about how we can collaborate with boards and events that will already be happening. We can do some replacements of some trees and maybe some tree giveaways. So stay tuned on that. But knowing just kind of we want to do a fuller Arbor Day event in November, which will be November 5th, and potentially a week and a half long of events starting on October 20th, potentially through November 5th. That's going to require a lot of planning and coordination. But I would love for us to finish out our year very strongly when it's appropriate to plant and really engage the community instead of trying to do a lot of small things throughout the summer that may not give us the largest return on investment. And so what I'm proposing, and we can talk about this as much as you want. Natalie, I know you had questions too, but Krista has, well, April 7th, I think there's another webinar already going on. I did not put on there, but then the next in-person event, Krista is hosting a tree ID walk. You want to share just real quickly on that?
Yeah, so actually I've got Harold Fisher, who is an urban forester with the Arkansas Forestry Division. He helped hand out trees at the tree giveaway, and he and I will be leading this walk at Laurel Park on May 3rd, starting at 9 a.m. Not at Laurel, what am I saying? Sorry. At Tucker, at Tucker Creek Walking Trail. And and I hope this works out because the construction over there is kind of weird, but Harold and I went over there the other day just to make sure that we thought it would work. But we're saying meet at the pavilion at the Salem Trailhead, and we'll walk from there to the Country Club overpass, and then we'll just turn around and walk back. So it's a pretty short walk. But there is a good diversity of trees along the trail right there, and it's maintained pretty well. So like we can step off the trail and, get under the trees and out of the sun and talk about trees. And I think it should be fun. And with both Harold and I, even if we have a larger group, hopefully everybody can hear, because like I could take, one group and he could take one group. We know that it might be better attended if it weren't during the day on a weekday, but we thought we'd try this first and see how it went. Because I just never know, because having 200 people at a tree ID walk would be difficult. So we're just going to try it. I think it'll be fun.
And that'll actually pull a different demographic than where we've been already. So, I mean, that's good in terms of like who and where we're trying to reach and see the response on that. So, awesome.
Right.
Okay. All right. So that's and I think that is the last thing that we have scheduled before summer. Then it's too hot. We're not doing any planting or any work outside. And so we can do one yoga event in June if y'all would like to do that. I don't know if anyone is interested in having another one of those. It was fun. We had a good turnout. People wanted it. Fairly simple. I would say if anything else, my suggestion would do that. And then hands down, we're just doing things online, doing some follow-up, show us your planted trees, whatever, keeping people engaged. Thoughts?
So last year we did yoga on Earth Day, which
Mhm.
is April 22nd.
Mhm.
Are we doing anything on Earth Day?
The 23rd, Ecofest is Earth Day. Well, it's not Friday. Earth Day is always on a Friday, so the events come on Saturday.
It's
typically.
Friday, April 22nd.
But we're doing the 23rd at
As,
Ecofest.
okay, our Earth Day event, okay.
Yeah. Oh, well, we're not, I mean, if you wanted,
Well, we
may
just
have
have
too
the
much.
posters from last year.
Oh.
That's why I was gonna say, if we wanted to redo yoga again and use the same posters, it would be a pretty cheap event, but, I mean, it doesn't
I
matter.
don't know about turnaround time. It'd really be just finding, because we've got a speaker, be finding an instructor and marketing. So, I mean, I'm down.
The
if y'all wanna do
library
that.
offers yoga classes as part of their adult program, so that might be something we could team up with whoever their instructor is and maybe make the library a co-host of the event or something like that.
Okay.
Well, I think the location is important also.
Yeah.
I don't know how Parks feels about having yoga in a park.
Would you allow it
Speak
if,
into your
we-
microphone, sir.
would you allow it if we partnered with somebody?
Whatever our arrangement was last time.
Okay.
We can
Okay.
do that again.
Cool. So we may need to look at and do like a vote on cost for paying an instructor, which I think last time it was like $100.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
Y'all are good with that. Because last time we got about 20 people. Yeah. So if we can get this out
20-ish.
pretty quickly, I do want to be careful, like just watch our messaging. So volunteers and Ecofest, big deal. April 9th, big deal. And then let's hit on yoga too. So if, I don't know who wants, do you want to reach out, whoever wants to look at instructors, if you guys wouldn't mind, kind of, if you can find an instructor, if we can make it happen, great, let's do it. Because we just need to show up and do yoga for an hour.
I can at least check with the county library and see if they're interested in if their
Just if they have an
instructor is interested. Yeah.
Yep, they'll come. Yeah. If
I'll
not,
check with
I
them.
know some other people too. We already have some, but if you want to do that, I'll just make another connection. So, okay. Awesome. All right.
Well,
you guys
and
just follow.
if we're gonna do it in a public park, there is an application that we need to
Yes.
fill out and an approval process. My guess is it would take 2 or 3 days maybe to get it approved.
I bet we can move faster.
Is that online that we could find it? Or,
You'll just email me.
Okay.
If you, whatever it is, what date are we looking at specifically?
April 22nd.
yeah, April 22nd.
I'll send you something.
Okay.
I'll send it over to you.
Okay.
Who do you want me to send
And we
it to?
did it over by
Claire.
that area where there's not sports and stuff, where the
Yeah.
old house was.
Yes.
It reminds me of an amphitheater. It's not,
Yeah.
but over on that whatever direction side.
And maybe we could do it like 5 or 6 o'clock. That's
Yes,
kind of
that'd be
later and a little more quiet.
was
I think we did it
wonderful.
on a Thursday last time.
I think we did.
Friday is a
that.
little different.
Well, then
to
I'm
do
just
it.
Ecofest, like, I'm just personally, like, I'm gonna be loading trucks and stuff. I can do an hour of yoga, but y'all take that on. I'm good. Thursday or
Okay.
Friday, let me know. I'll show up on a mat and
Okay.
get out of there. Yeah.
I
Okay.
think Earth Day is maybe always on the 22nd, right?
Yeah, it is. It's that Friday. Yeah. Or
But it's not
no, I'm
always
sorry.
on
It's
a
this.
Friday.
I'm sorry. It's April 22nd. Yes. I don't know what I'm.
It's not always on a Friday though. It's always on April 22nd, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right, if you want to go for it, we'll do that. And then we'll be hands down in terms of planning events. And then we're getting ready for Arbor Day after.
Okay. Do we want to use marketing funds to pay for the instructor, or do we want to vote?
Just use the mark.
I think for now
Okay.
we're
Yeah,
good.
marketing funds is
Yeah.
fine.
Okay.
Because we can, yeah. Okay. Okay. So, Arbor Day, we're going to table this till next meeting. I did give you guys just a few ideas to get your wheels turning on that, and we'll circle back at the May meeting on that one. All right, so we're good. So we've got our community action marketing meeting on the 11th. We have a tentative meeting for the forestry management group on the 14th. We'll follow up. Matt and GIS and Canton are due, so they're going to set up a one-on-one to follow up in terms of that. And then I will get in touch with Spencer and we'll talk about celebration trees. I did want to point out too, if anyone has interest, I know orientation for board membership has not happened for new members, or if anybody wants a refresh, but during June we can do some one-on-ones and get some information going to you guys. Due diligence, I know I owe that.
I am
to-
definitely interested because I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm getting the hang of it, but I'm like, tell me more. Explain how this all works, please.
Good. Then we'll do that. I won't have all the answers, but we can start the conversations. So, all right. So next full board meeting is May 2nd. We will resume our normal location unless Kyle instructs us otherwise.
Oh, we should be back to the normal room next time.
Yeah. No, this is fun.
Yeah, I
Like
kind of
an
like this
official.
video.
Hey now. I can see faces.
We can just keep
and
using this room from now on. I
use
like
the
this.
I'm just kidding. Can we vote on that? I'm just kidding.
No.
Okay. Anyway, thanks for the use. This was fun today. It is. Any other questions, comments, parking lot?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, sir.
Seconded.
Perfect. All right. Not too bad. We got through most of it. 3 minutes, just fair. Hey, thank you guys. See you next time.
Oh.